Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling something that's going to totally flip conventional financial wisdom right on its head. We're talking about the smart money flow philosophy and unpacking the brutal everyday math of money. Our goal here is actually pretty simple. We want to help you build real, tangible wealth, not just an illusion of it to impress people who, let's be honest, aren't really paying attention anyway. We're going to pull back the curtain on how the system practically sets you up for financial traps, and more importantly, how you can break out of survival mode to build some serious margin in your life.
Okay, let's just dive right into this. Picture this. You open your banking app, you scroll down, and boom, you see it. A 715 FICO score. Instantly, you probably feel a little burst of pride, right? I mean, we've always been told that a 715 means you're solidly in good credit territory. You are officially a responsible adult doing responsible adult things. But here is the harsh reality we're unpacking today. That 715, it might actually be the single most dangerous number in your entire financial life. Seriously, it is not a trophy, it's a trap.
As our source material perfectly nails it, a 715 is essentially the exact amount of good credit required to convince you to just sign away your future. See, the bank looks at that number and sees a giant green light. To them, you're a qualified buyer. But let's be real. Being a qualified buyer usually just means you're qualified to be kept house poor, car poor, and totally stressed out of your mind for the next decade. It's the exact threshold that pulls you into this endless hamster wheel of monthly obligations, permanently locking you in survival mode.
Which brings us to the brutal math of debt. When you walk in to buy a house, a mortgage broker isn't sitting there calculating if you'll be able to sleep peacefully at night. They aren't factoring in your family vacations or your stress levels. Nope. They literally only care about one thing: your debt-to-income ratio. Basically, how much of your hard-earned paycheck is legally promised to lenders. And the crazy part, the system is absolutely thrilled to approve you as long as your total debt obligations sit just a hair under 43% of your income. Now, think about what that 43% actually translates to in the real world. Let's say your household brings in $160,000 a year. That sounds like an amazing living, right? But you take that 715 credit score, you get approved for a $500,000 starter home, and suddenly the cruel math kicks in. Your total housing cost could easily skyrocket to around $4,367 every single month. That is a massive chunk of your take-home pay just instantly devoured. And for what? Just to keep the lights on and a roof over your head.
And man, if only the trap stopped at the front door. But it doesn't. It rolls right out into the driveway, in the form of what we'll call the gleaming monster in the driveway. Yep, we are talking about the second biggest wealth killer out there, the car loan. Because you've got that good credit, a car dealer is going to happily shake your hand and set you up with a totally manageable payment. We're talking $900, maybe even $1,200 a month for a truck. That is a monthly payment that would literally make a mortgage broker blush. But the system just packages it up and sells it to you as an affordable, everyday convenience. Let's break down the staggering reality of those dealership terms. To get that monthly payment down to a number you can theoretically stomach, they just stretch the loan out. We're seeing 8-year loans now. So you buy a truck with a $70,000 sticker price, but fast forward 8 years, by the time all those payments and the interest are done, you haven't paid $70,000. You've paid a mind-blowing $130,000. And the absolute kicker, after 8 years of draining your income, that vehicle is going to be worth maybe 15 grand, or honestly, pretty close to zero. The source text frames this with a phrase that is it's hilarious but also deeply tragic. They call it wealth destruction with cup holders. And wow, hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? That is exactly what an 8-year loan on a rapidly depreciating asset is. Your 715 credit score was basically just the shiny little key that unlocked a massive negative equity cycle. You perpetually owe way more on the vehicle than it's worth, meaning your wealth is quietly being destroyed month after month, all while you're sitting comfortably in heated leather seats. So the crucial takeaway here is that escaping this trap, it's not about playing games with your credit utilization just to squeeze out a slightly higher limit. No, it requires a complete financial identity shift. If you want to stop drowning in a sea of monthly obligations, you have to fundamentally rewire how you think about money, how you define success, and what it actually means to be wealthy. Just contrast the exhausting treadmill of status spending with the actual lasting piece of real wealth. Status spending is all about buying the logos, the designer clothes, the flashiest cars, basically projecting success to strangers who do not care about you at all. It is an endless, exhausting performance. Real wealth, on the other hand, isn't about looking rich. It's about hitting tangible financial thresholds that build actual breathing room, margin into your life. And it literally changes your brain chemistry because that low-level hum of constant financial anxiety, it finally just disappears. The very first and probably most powerful of those thresholds is the $20,000 mark. This right here is your freedom foundation. Hitting this number permanently shifts you out of survival mode. Think about it. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, something like a check engine light or a busted water heater is a full-blown catastrophe. It completely derails your life. But when you have $20,000 sitting there in reserve, you cross this invisible barrier. Suddenly, those giant emergencies are just minor inconveniences. And that $20,000, it's not just digits on a screen. It is walking away money. Having this specific amount of margin gives you basically the ultimate superpower in today's world. It gives you the quiet confidence to negotiate a better salary, or the ability to look at an incredibly toxic work environment and just say, I'm out. You can simply say no thanks to a miserable lifestyle because you are no longer absolutely desperate for that very next paycheck to keep the lights on. Let's transition over to the optimal wealth roadmap and see how all this pieces together into a bulletproof strategy. If we're going to stop obsessing over a random 3-digit credit score, we need an exact chronological order of operations to replace it. We need a definitive roadmap to start creating genuine wealth, putting the power back exactly where it belongs, in your hands, not the bank's. The source material lays out this highly effective, no-nonsense action plan to finally break free. Step 1, establish that emergency fund, relentlessly building toward that $20,000 foundation. Step 2, launch an all-out assault on your high-interest debt. And then, Step 3 is where you finally get to play offense, maximizing your employer match and taking full advantage of tax-advantaged accounts, like health savings accounts or HSAs.
Let's dig into the specifics of this roadmap a bit more. First off, getting that emergency fund in place means you completely stop swiping high-interest credit cards for so-called emergencies that are really just predictable events of, well, life happening. Next, you have to treat high-interest debt like financial cancer. Paying off a credit card that has a 22% interest rate, that is a guaranteed 22% return on your money. You are not going to find a safer, higher yield anywhere else in the market, period. And once that cancer is gone, you start funding things like HSAs, which act like a literal cheat code to make your future healthcare costs completely vanish using tax advantages. It all boils down to this final, provocative question. What do you actually want more, freedom or appearances? Your 715 credit score is basically just a tool the banks use to keep you running on their shiny little hamster wheel. So here's my challenge to you based on our explainer today. Track your spending for the next 30 days. Find just one status expense. Maybe it's a subscription you totally ignore or an expensive dinner out to impress people you don't even really like. Cut it. Take that exact amount of cash and redirect it straight into building your $20,000 foundation. Choose your freedom over appearances. So what is your wealth building goal going to be for the next 6 months? Start planning it today.